Welcome back, folks, to Art of the City. I'm live streaming here from San Diego, California, and I'm your host, Ruth-Ann Thorn. We've been doing these live streams for a focus on Indian country since the beginning of August, and I will tell you, we've had some of the finest talent in the Native American community here. Coming onto the show, we've had chefs and artists. We will be having musicians come live. So it's been really my great honor as an art dealer and as a Native American woman to create this platform where you can meet these talents that are really at the top of their game. We're bringing in artists that have made an impact on the world. And so keep coming in. We are live streaming 3 times a week now. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about as an art dealer is not only art and creativity, but also being female women, because I think that women are one of the underrepresented minorities, if you will, in all art platforms. And so today I'm bringing on one of my dear friends. She is probably one of the most incredible sculptors I have ever seen in my lifetime. And she herself has impacted the world, not only through her sculpture and her artwork, but also what she's giving back to the community in the way of becoming back in touch with the earth. She's very much about food sustainability, teaching kids how to grow food, and just is really salt of the earth person. So let me see if I can get her on. Her name is Roxanne Swentzell. Some of you I can see that are tuning in, you know who I'm talking about. And we'll see if we can get her. She's live streaming from Santa Fe, from the Pueblo. So sometimes the technology might be a little fuzzy, but let's see what we can do here. Well, there's her gorgeous gallery. Are you there, Roxanne? Let's see if we can get her. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, good. Welcome, Roxanne. So good to see you.
Nice to see you too, or Zoom you.
Yeah, this is this is our new platform now since the shows are no longer happening. As you know, being there, Indian market has been canceled. Everything's gone onto this live platform, and I'm just so happy that you came on the show because I love your work so much, Roxanne. And I'm a huge fan. I think you're just one of the most incredible people I've ever met. And I'm just so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Ruth-Ann.
So share with us, Roxanne, a little bit about your feelings in the last few months since this COVID affected the world. What was your initial reaction to that?
Wow. I think everybody has been a little confused where it's going, and trying to get the right information. It has been kind of interesting journey. So I've been just sort of watching the whole thing too. I didn't mind the first hardcore quarantining because it kind of made us have a timeout. And in timeout, I thought it was good to sort of stop and reflect on our lives and the world, and maybe what we might be wanting to do differently from now on. Getting to see the sky clear of the airplane lines was really cool to me. Getting to wake up to cleaner air, and the no sound of traffic for a while was really cool. I also found myself thinking about how a lot of the study around sustainability was really important now to really go into what are we going to do if our stores close down and all the things we're used to getting in town aren't available anymore. How are we going to live if that happens? So that's been a lot on my mind ever
Yeah,
since.
those are some pretty deep topics. And I think many people from around the world are sensing that. And when I came to your studio for the very first time, I had already gotten that sense from you that those things you had already been thinking about, maybe not consciously, but I could see the way that you had built your studio out. And I think at that time you were teaching the kids how to harvest corn, maybe.
Yes, I run a nonprofit called Flower and Tree Permaculture Institute, and we are um, about sustainability, but it's been more just trying to educate and research different ways of sustainability in our region. And now with COVID, it seems like that much more important to learn these things. So yes, I teach the kids. The Pueblo has events and stuff that I work with them on different traditional cultural aspects that help with who we are as Native people and how we used to live, trying to maintain or bring those traditions back to the community so that we will be okay if the world outside falls down and
Right.
hopefully have ourselves intact enough to keep going.
Well, when I met you the first time, you said something that I really, it was very impacting to me because I hadn't really thought about it. And you had mentioned that if we don't have food sustainability, meaning if we don't know how to grow our own food, we don't really have sustainability. And I never had really thought about it from that point of view. But then it really hit home when it was the very first time I had been to a grocery store and I had money in my pocket, but there's nothing on the shelves.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was really like one of those aha moments, and it boomerang back. I'm like, oh, Roxanne was talking about this. So I too, and I think I've mentioned to you, have a plan to get back out onto my land on the Indian reservation and start practicing food sustainability, not out of fear, but out of something that I think is just a wise thing if you have it available. But also, I think just getting back to what you had said, getting back to our roots as natives and really being able to take a pause and appreciate the nature around us, which kind of to me dovetails into your art because I see in your art those themes are very prevalent. So maybe share a little bit about your how you started a little bit in the art world and then your ideas of what you're pushing forward in your sculpture.
Okay. Let me pick a good one to go look at for a second. So here at the Tower Gallery, we have the ground floor full of some ceramic pieces of mine. I want to start with this one. This is the latest piece I've done, and it's called An Unstable World. Interestingly enough, I made this before the COVID thing happened, and it was more a statement on in the environmental uh, climate issues that we're facing and thinking about we are living right now in a kind of unstable world. And then COVID happened. Within the month, I had put this piece together, and I thought, wow, it's even more um, precarious. So this piece was, to express that. I started making sculptures as a young child as a way of communicating. My mother was a potter, and so I played with clay too next to her. But because I couldn't speak very well, I would make these little figures that would talk for me, and I'd give them to my mother, and that would tell her what was going on with me. And I look at my pieces still to this day, and I'm really still doing the same thing. It's like I'm really been concerned about the earth and what we're doing to our environment, and so this is my way of expressing how it feels to me about the environment of our beautiful earth. So that's one piece of that. In the
That's
same,
stunning.
thank you.
So when you first started becoming an artist, I know it was just something you did as a child, but when you decided that you were going to pursue art, did you ever have it in mind that, oh, I'm going to become an artist and I'm going to be, get into museums and become this important artist? Or was it just an expression of who you were? Like, what were you thinking when you decided I'm going to commit my life to creating art?
As a 3-year-old, I didn't really understand any of those
Right. But
concepts.
I mean, as you got
As
older.
I got older, because I already had established myself as a clay speaker, because I think the clay was my first language. The my little sculptures were my first language. By the time I was in, I'd say late elementary school, junior high school, the concept of are you going to be an artist came into my mind, and I thought, wow, that's that's a thought. But I was more caught up by jobs out there and thinking maybe I would go work at 31 Flavors or something like that.
Right.
but but for me it was because my my sculptures were all about communication. They weren't a profession. I didn't see it yet as a possible career. It was the way I spoke. And
I see.
so, end of high school, I was given a one woman show at the IAIA Museum, the old one. And I was so surprised. And I thought how cool it was that other people were wanting to see my work and enjoying it too. And it was the first time that I got offered to sell one of my pieces to somebody. And that was a very new concept because I had never done it for money. I had only done it for communication reasons. So then I guess that's when it started to become a career, was that, wow, I could pay my bills with this.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't seem to me like that has the aspect of selling has affected the way that you communicate your thoughts and your passion through what you create. I don't think when I see your work, like some artists, they think about, oh, this is what someone is going to buy, so I'll create more of that. I don't see that in your work at all. I just see it as being very raw and natural, that you're going to pour out whatever you think you need to.
Well, thank you. I take that as a compliment. I
Yes.
hope so. I hope it's true. I believe that because of where it started from a real personal need of communication. It came from a pretty pure place. And to me, to go outside of that wouldn't feel right. It would feel like I'm putting on something that's not me. So they are I look at them and I laugh because I know exactly what part of my life that piece came out of and why I needed to express that particular imagery. And
I love it.
this
So
that,
this is a new one too?
excuse me, Ruth-Ann?
Is this one also new? I know we have a little bit of a lag with the what
Oh,
I'm saying, but
this piece up here, this is a few years old, but I like this. She's a bronze in this piece, but she's called A Question of Balance, and I wanted to show this one just because of the times that we're into. because I really do think that COVID is a result of a world out of balance with nature. And I do think that because we have strayed so far from being in balance with nature, we are having issues with um, plagues and viruses and environmental issues. And this piece, even though it's a portrait of a Pueblo woman with a pot on her head, uh, it is all about a question of balance, that we have to maintain a balance with the world around us in order for it to work.
So true. That is beautiful. And I love how you're portraying that emotion in that piece. So, Roxanne, what has it been like being a woman in the art world? Because I was reading recently that the artists that have really made the biggest impact that are in museums are only represent between 2 and 3% of women artists. And I found that to be really shocking.
Wow, wow. I haven't heard those that percentage, but I'm not surprised given the world we live in. But we're
Right,
changing. I think we're going to see a big change in that. As a woman, I have definitely seen a lot of uh, me pushed aside often because, oh, I'm a little brown woman. I don't matter as much as a white guy or or even a native man, or because in our recent history, men are taken more seriously than women, and
right,
and I think that times are changing because we've seen what the world is the men made. It's maybe time
right,
to see what women can do if you add their perspective and what they might
right.
uh, offer. And I think there's a lot we can give. Um, but for as a woman, yeah, it's taken me a while to seem like the other artists, male artists, had gotten advantages more quickly than I throughout my life. But I trugged along because what else am I going to do but be true to myself and do what I'm going to do anyway. And I won't
Right.
complain because I feel like I'm one of the luckier artists in the area to have gotten recognized the way I have, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I just, for all the artists out there right now, I am really rooting for us because I feel like we have worked our creative minds a lot and have something to offer as artists to the world to help create and imagine a better world. We can
Mm-hmm.
we can start to think about what are other ways we could do this. We don't have to destroy our environment. We don't have to be mean to each other. We don't have to put up boundaries the way we do that hurt each other. We could be more caring and loving and respectful to each other. I think those terms are are very important to think about, and those are very much mother terms.
I was
Those
just thinking the same thing.
were you? Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go to
Well, you
the
were
drama
talking about in
podcast.
your one piece about the world being out of balance. And I think that has a lot to do with the inequality globally between the male and female humans. Is that when you're too top heavy with either side, there is going to be a lack of balance. And one of the things that the women bring to the table are the mothers, the nurturers, the comforters, and the ones that are, many times, not always, but the peacemakers. And I think now is a time that women are coming on the scenes and they're bringing the sense of balance. And I know we've talked about this before. It's not anti men. It's just more of the balance that needs to shift. And I think with our new possible vice president, that might happen.
I hope so. I really hope
I hope
so.
so too. So let's go back to your gorgeous artwork here. Let's see another piece that you've created because I'm already just getting inspired.
This one is called Grandma because she just honors the elder, and for all grandmas, the elders in our lives and throughout time, our ancestors. Uh, I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge them. And in this piece, I'm acknowledging the female side, and she's just sweet. She just sits there. And as I
Yeah.
am growing into my elderhood, I'm appreciating the the older people more and what they've gone through and what they may hold that we need to relearn and stop and listen again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as you were growing up, I know in the video that I did, you, like me, you come from a multicultural background. Did it, when you were growing up, did it take a minute for you to really become in tune with who you were as a Native person? Or was that something that you felt a strong kinship from your mother's side? Was that fostered for you as a child, I guess?
When we've always stayed fairly close to the Pueblo, but I did not grow up uh, in the Pueblo itself until I moved there permanently when I was 20. And but we were always interacting with family there and were around during ceremonial dances and would come and dance. And my grandparents were right down there. Um, so there was, uh, it was kept up on my mother's side. Enough that I wanted to be part of it more. And that's why I chose to move back to the reservation and build my house and raise my kids there and be part of the community in a larger way. Um, but I would say that it's a constant learning thing. There's always something to know more about who we are as Native people. And from my from my life's journey, I I have had to learn that we are special than the outside Western world. We are pockets of amazing groups of people that figured out how to live within their place in their environment here. Um, for hundreds and hundreds of years and learned how to socially interact with each other and their environment in a way that we still have pieces of that left. And that information is so important to
Yes.
to remember and to keep going because we have golden nuggets of um, information that is really important for the world, for societies, for the human psyche to understand that there might be truly different ways of living than what the Western world has said is the way to go. The American dream may not be a very good dream after all. It may be throwing the world into chaos. There might be other ways of doing this. And I think these Native communities have some information that's very, very vital at this time.
I agree. And I think one of the themes that runs across Indian country within all of the cultures, which are quite diverse, but one of the things that brings us together is the idea of being inclusive, meaning that nobody is left out.
Mm.
In within the communities, our community as Luceños and all of our neighboring communities, there was definitely this feeling of everyone was included. We always made sure everybody was taken care of. There was there were different roles, but at the end of the day, we made sure that everybody was provided for. So it's
Mm.
very different than the Western culture where there is definitely a ladder to be climbed and a pecking order. And
Yeah.
so I would have to agree with you that it's a different way of living and a different perspective and something that should be considered because clearly this is not working.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicely said, Ruth-Ann. I agree. And the concepts of taking care of each other is not
Yes.
promoted in American culture. It's a very individualistic, capitalist, hierarchy kind of mentality that has not worked very well, I have to say. And like you said, a lot of the connection of the tribes have to be the thinking that you need to respect other life forms on this planet, not
Yes.
just human beings, but the other animals, the plants, the wind, the sky, the everything has to be honored and respected because they are related. We're in relationship to, and so we take care of each other so that we're cared for. It's a mutual caring, and um, and I think that is really important to keep expressing, that we need to remember what it's like to give respect and have respect back. Take care
I
of each
agree.
other. Yeah.
And you really show that through your artwork. That's the thing that I see when I walk through your studio. Right now, with the COVID, has the gallery that you're in right now, has that been closed, or how are you dealing with, the fact that there is little commerce, especially, Indian market? I know you didn't show at Indian market for many years, but you would get travelers, I would imagine, that would come and seek you out at your gallery.
Yes. I mean, India market time was always a big time for me, and either I was down there on the plaza in my booth and seeing old friends and seeing what the other artists have been doing. It was always a great time. This is the first time it's just been quiet, and the gallery
Right.
here has been closed since COVID. Um, and so the doors have been shut. We are still checking emails and the internet. We are at this point taking reservations. If somebody wants to come in, they can come in small groups, wearing the mask and being careful not to touch things, and look around and stuff like that. So we are willing to do that, but we have been we've had to close the doors because we haven't been able to have traffic come through. So it's a very changed world. Yes, very
Yeah,
changed.
I can imagine. But if somebody wants to see all of your artwork, they can go on. I put this website on here, roxanneswentzell.net.
Thank
Is
you
that
for
the
that.
best place?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
and you can
So
see a lot
Roxanne,
of
I haven't you're just so inspirational to me, and you are such a strong woman. I know you have children that are following in your footsteps. Your daughter, right? She's actually a pretty incredible artist, and she's really, I think you did a great job raising. She's a firecracker, that one. I really like her. But my question for you is, with the young ladies, especially young women who are considering becoming a full-time artist. You know, they have the passion, they have the talent, but they're kind of at that, you know, place where should I go get a corporate job somewhere that's going to pay the bills, or should I follow my passion? What advice would you give a young lady?
Not just young ladies, I would give everybody the
Okay.
a wish that you would follow your heart's desire, that what you love to do it, because that's your gift to the world, and that's
Mm,
how we make our world a beautiful flower arrangement. Is all our different gifts that we have, that we don't all have to fit into these organized, already set blocks of, you know, what the world offers us as careers and jobs. We're each so unique, and finding out what that is in each one of us and daring to express it in whatever ways. And you know, art is just one of the ways. It may be that you
sure.
like to jump up and down and spin. It may be that you run fast. It may mean that you like to work with hair or clothes, or make beautiful dishes, or make wonderful pies, or you know, build things that are so unique. It's like we could let people be, inspire people to bloom themselves into incredible things. And then we have a very interesting world. We don't have a monocrop of society. We have an incredible, diverse world full of endless, interesting things around us. So I want us to believe in ourselves and
Mm.
and dare to express it.
Amen to that, sister. You're absolutely right. I love that. That's beautiful. And to your granddaughter, who is our camera girl today, thank you. And you heard that from your grandma. You know, take that torch, carry the torch. I agree, and I feel the same way about my own daughter and all the daughters, because you know, as we get older, we do become the mothers to all of the daughters, and to, you know, everyone, saying, and I agree with you, let's just take those passions like Roxanne has and bless the world. And you certainly have done that, Roxanne, on so many different levels, and I know you continue to just keep bringing out that creativity. Roxanne did a beautiful sculpture for my tribe, and if you get a chance and you come to San Diego, you want to stop by and see that, because it's one of those pieces that touches everyone. And I'll put it up on the website here. But is there one more piece you'd like to show us, Roxanne?
I was just looking around thinking of this piece. How about this piece?
Okay, let me minimize my
One
screen
little
here.
piece. One last piece. Can you stand? This is a storyteller piece, and she's holding, I'm counting, one, two, three babies on her lap. And this is called All Directions Covered, and talking about, you know, taking care of each other. This one's about taking care of each other. We always think that, oh, as parents or whatever, we have to constantly work hard. But in this picture, the children are helping watch over things, because they all chose a direction to.
Did we lose her? I think we may have lost her there. Here, let me bring myself back up. Oh, here she comes. She's coming back. Let's see. Okay, we got you back.
So as you can see, the piece is looking, all the children are looking in different directions.
That's beautiful. And that really ties into what you were just talking about how important it is that we all take a role. And I love that. It's beautiful. Beautiful, Roxanne. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Ruth-Ann.
Okay, good. Okay, sometimes it's hard to know because the sound comes in and out. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. It has
Thank you for
been
having me.
such a great way to start the weekend, to be inspired. You really ignite a lot of great thought, things for us to consider about how we are going to move forward, each as individuals, but also as part of a greater community. So this is good food for thought. Folks, make sure you go to Roxanne's website because you're seeing a few of the pieces, but there are so many more. And you'll be really inspired when you get a moment to really take the time to look at them. So thank you, Roxanne. Blessings to you and your family. And I'll look forward to seeing you. As soon as this ends, I'm going to be talking to you about doing a show at my gallery.
Thank you, Ruth-Ann. And see you, everybody. Be safe. Blessings.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Roxanne Swentzell is one of those women that are a once in a lifetime artist, mother, creator. She's just one of those people that I could really hang out with for hours because she's, got that wisdom that comes from her long lineage of family there on the Pueblo. So I hope you enjoyed the show today. We have many creatives coming on next week. So starting with Robbie Romero is going to be on Monday. We have a chef coming in next Wednesday, Chef Freddie Basui, and I'm hoping I'm saying that right. And then Friday, we're going to have a very special show for a young man, Nakota Lawrence, who passed away. He was the 10-time world champion hoop dancer who had been on tour with Cirque du Soleil for the last 5 years. He was a young man, unfortunately passed away with his passion, doing hoop dancing from a very high bridge. An unfortunate accident happened, but his family, his sister, who is also world-class hoop dancer, will be on our show. She'll be doing a live hoop dance in honor of him, and then we'll have various guests coming in. So that's our lineup for next week, and I'll look forward to seeing you. Art of the City, please do me a favor, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the better it is for our rating, as you know. But also take those 2020, you'll see we have a playlist there, Art of the City, Indian Country, and share them. Put them on your Facebook page. Bring awareness to these artists. Many of them have lost their revenue stream this year because Indian market was shut down. So I'm really passionate about supporting these artists, just to even give them a little shot in the arm that, hey, we love you. We love what you're doing. Keep doing that. If you can't support them financially, let's support them in the way that we can. So have a great weekend, folks. I will see you here next week, Monday. Don't miss it. 4 p.m. right here, Art of the City on Facebook, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy the weekend.